Hello there, you guys, and welcome to this new setup. I've been recording some videos for you guys on Patreon and YouTube, and now we're going to be on the violin today. So if you happen to have any comments for me as far as this new setup, I would be so grateful to hear from you. This is the way that I set things up for my lessons, but I've never been able to figure out how to actually get a good video quality with a good sound quality for you guys on YouTube. I usually just record things on my phone, but anyway, here we are in this new setup, and hopefully you like it more than the previous video setups. Like I said, if you have any comments, I would be so grateful to hear from you. But anyway, let's jump into it. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Old Masters series for the violin. For those of you on Patreon, hello, this is your weekly violin lesson with me. And if you have any comments or questions, please let me know. Do you like this series? We're kind of like halfway through the series. And those of you on YouTube, I'd love to know the same. There's a link for you so that you can find this on IMSLP, and we're going to take a look at this together. So we're looking at Zwei Tanze today, and there's two dances in this one. Zwei, ein Zwei. That's about all I know. Anyway, two dances, and today we're looking at the Bourree. The second one is the minuet, so we'll look at that one next week together. So I'm going to play them for you. Grab your music, pop over to IMSLP and pull this up here. I've got some little notes that I've scribbled down for you on YouTube, so you can click that and check that out if you'd like. So let me play this for you, and then we'll do some detail work together. So here we go. There's a repeat, but I'm going to continue. It's lovely, isn't it? So a beret is an old courtly French dance. So it has that kind of dancey feel. Did you notice that? It's kind of sweet and like makes you kind of move around a little bit maybe. So before we jump into it, we got to look at the key signature, because the key signature tells us what hand patterns we're using and where to put our fingers and all that kind of thing. So you can see there's 3 sharps for us. Do you remember the order of the sharps? Father Charlie goes down and eats breakfast. Father Charlie and eats. Father Charlie goes down and eats breakfast. So the order of the sharps helps us to figure out the major scale. In this case, there's 3 sharps. Father Charlie goes. And if we wanted to know what the major scale is that corresponds with it, we would just find a half step higher than the last sharp. Father Charlie goes. What's a half step higher than G sharp? Let's think about it. What comes after G sharp? It's A. So A major would have this key signature. Music theory moment though, if you wanted to know the minor scale that shares this same key signature, because just like a yin yang, we have light and we have dark. The minor scale we would find by counting to the 6th scale degree of the major scale. So if we know that we're in A major, let's count up to the 6th scale degree, and that will give us the minor. So A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. So F sharp minor also shares this key signature. So there you go. But when I played through it, do you remember, did it sound light or did it sound dark? You remember? Let me play you the first little bit again and see what you think. Whoops, but if I was in tune, let's try it again. What do you think? It's in A major. It's in the light side of the spectrum. So that's the first thing. That will tell you your hand patterns, and where everything kind of goes. The next thing we need to look at is the time signature, which is C for common time, which means there's 4 big beats in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, and from there we can figure out how fast an eighth note is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the fastest rhythm that we have to deal with, so we don't have to worry about going any faster than that. We do have to hold things for longer. Sometimes we have a dotted quarter note. Do you have any dotted quarter notes? Dotted half note. Oh, there is a dotted quarter note. There we go. I'm looking at the second line. The end of the second line and the end of the last line, there's a dotted quarter note. So it happens to be on beat 1, 2, and 3. So it's on beat 3. So if we're doing 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. So it's really important for us to understand the time signature and how we can feel the beat, so that then we can subdivide if we need to kind of figure out faster rhythms or figure out how long to hold the things for. So those are the 2 most important things that you always must look at before you embark on sight reading. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's look a little deeper, because there are some articulations that we need to consider. There's dots over a lot of the notes. Not all the notes, but many of the notes have a dot over them. And so, like we talked about a long time ago when we were looking at the, I guess it was the very easy melodious etudes by Edward Elgar. There's a playlist on YouTube if you want to check that out. But we talked actually about some bowing techniques in that series. There's like one specific video, I think, towards the end of that where we talked about bowing techniques. So a dot can mean staccato, which is on the string with a separation. Or it could mean spiccato, where we're kind of bouncing. And it might have some other meanings, but those are the 2 main meanings that we usually think of. It just kind of depends on the context. But in this case, we're going to make this nice and bubbly and lighthearted with some spiccato. So let's remember how to do that together real quick. We're going to start by finding the balance point of the bow, so that kind of lower third of the bow. And then you're going to stay there and bounce up and down, just like this. And try to keep everything relaxed. Just try and let go of any extra tension. And remember, you need a strong down to propel the up. Down propels the up. So keep it nice and tight. Don't bounce too high. And then we're just going to go back and forth. And you can control the speed by actually controlling the height that you bounce. So if you bounce really high, not too high, but it makes things slower. If you're really tiny bouncing, it tends to be faster. So keep that in mind. We're going to go a little on the slower side, so you might want a nice big bounce that's a little bit slower. Anytime we see a dot, we're going to be applying that spiccato technique to them. There's also moments where we have a line over the notes, and when we have that, it's like a tenuto. It can also just mean a détaché, which is smooth and connected strokes, or just a regular bow stroke. And they don't necessarily need to be there. This is in measure 3 that I'm looking at. There's a line over those half notes. It's kind of to just show us that it's not spiccato and that you want to play it differently. So let me play you the first few little measures here. You see how I didn't play it, but I connected it? So that would be the line. Let's see if there's any other little things. There's also these moments, like in the first full measure, where you have a slur, and the second note of the slur has a little dot over it. And so we're going to be doing, instead of doing this, we're going to be playing them separated like that. So it's just 2 little up bows, and I'm just making my way to the frog. I'm not keeping it on one spot like that. Make your way towards the frog if you can. because it's kind of easier to play in the lower third anyway when we have spiccato, and we have a lot of spiccato. Sorry for the noise outside. Anyway, hopefully that's not too bothersome. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if there's any other details for these first two lines. We're starting mezzo forte. So mezzo forte is kind of just a regular kind of speaking voice. It's not too soft, it's not too loud. And then in the second line, we have a crescendo to forte. So we're going to start to lengthen the bow maybe and get louder and louder. So here's the beginning of the second line, mezzo forte to forte. I didn't do that very well. I'm going to try and lengthen the bow a little bit more. I'm trying to not hit the desk here, so I'll scoot back a little bit. So I'm using lots of bow by the end there. And then the second to last measure, we have a little TR over that dotted quarter note. And you might already know a TR means trill. So the note that it's over is a B. And I'm going to just go really quickly to the upper note. All right, so let's try the first two lines together and then we'll move on to the second half. Or you can just kind of listen to, that's fine too. So I'll count to 3 and we're going to come in on beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat that, but let's go to the second half. The second half starts piano. So piano means quietly or kind of whispered, right? Softly. So we're going to change the contact point from kind of our middle area to the fingerboard. Listen to the difference. It's just the contact point that's kind of changing. So like move that a little bit closer to the fingerboard. Find the sweet spot because you don't want to be too low. And you're going to get this. So here's the next part. We have a crescendo. And then we're really going to crescendo starting here. Lengthen. A little more. A little more. Until you're using lots of bow on the forte. And then back to mezzo forte. Poco rit, and there's those lines over the note, so it's smooth and connected. We're going to slow down gradually. Trill. And then fade away. By the way, here's a trick to fade away. Instead of keeping your bow straight, let it go towards the fingerboard. Isn't that magical? So there's also a little word above the last note there. It says attacca. So when we have that, it means you're going to just immediately go into the next section. So that would be going into the minuet. So we're not going to look at the minuet, but just so that you can hear it, it would sound like this. All right, so that's going to be it for the beret today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you all next week when we take a look at the minuet. Maybe you can take a quick little look at it and see if you have any questions, but I hope you had fun here today. Head over to Patreon if you're not there already. There's a link below for you on YouTube. For those of you on Patreon, I hope to see you at some of our group events this month. The group classes, the virtual studio circle, or the guest artist classes that we have. So happy practicing and lots of love to you. Take care.